Hi there, it's Abra here, and today was my last radiation treatment. I had to get my kids off to a friend's house, and then I had to drive my hour and 10 minutes to get to my radiation appointment, and it was literally rush hour traffic. So we got there just in the nick of time, and thank goodness I didn't have to wait. I was feeling a little bit anxious, and as you know from my other video that I tried to do, I was also very, very emotional. Um, it just marks the end of a extremely long journey. So it is about, today is the 28th and I was of September, and I was diagnosed on December 17th. But so it's been a very long 10 months. So I feel very relieved that it's over, but I also feel like, now what? I feel a little like apprehensive, or a little like I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Everyone keeps saying, now you've got all this free time. What are you going to do? And I know that I'm going to rest, but I don't know how to do normal. The last 10 months have all been about this doctor's appointment, that doctor's appointment. Yes, my chemo was done, but then I knew I had like a few weeks to sort of be normal. And then it was about my surgery. And then it's about recovering from the surgery and then going on, after a break, to radiation. So everything was always about the next step, the next step, the next step. And while I have hormone treatment to look forward to, that's just something I do on my own. I just take a pill and it does whatever it's supposed to do inside. I don't have to go anywhere, meet a doctor, see a doctor. I just check in. So I think in that sense, I'm like, gosh, I do have a lot of free time coming up. What am I going to do? Today they told me at my last radiation appointment that the symptoms that I'm experiencing, which is some fatigue, a lot of skin irritation, it's not as bad as it could be, thankfully, but it's still quite sore, and some of my skin is broken open, so it's just kind of like a really bad sunburn. But they basically say for the next 2 to 3 weeks, those symptoms are going to get worse before they get better. So in some instance, I'm like, gosh, how much worse can it get? So I just have to monitor that myself. I check in next week with them just to make sure everything's healing okay. And I went to my physical therapy appointment. She's like a fairy godmother, this woman that I see. She's very excellent. She's fun to talk to, and then just knows exactly how to manipulate my arm or massage the muscle or just give me the lymphatic massage. So my arm felt fantastic after I left there. I went in a little bit sore, a little bit this weekend. This weekend I didn't actually, I'm supposed to do arm exercises to keep the mobility in my arm, but my arm hurt so bad that I just didn't do those as religiously as I should. And so I knew when I went in this morning and put my arm up for radiation that it was a little bit sore. So I was like, eek. But I went and she did some of her magic work, and my arm is feeling much better. It's still very sore, but it feels good. So I'm very glad that I get to see her again on Friday. My kids were very excited this morning. They're very much looking forward to having sort of mom back, whatever that means. And they're just very excited, I think, not to see me go to the doctors all the time, or, not be able to do things. Like yesterday, my son said, Mommy, why can't you come outside and play football with me? And I might not be the best football player, but he thinks I'm pretty darn good. And it broke my heart that I couldn't go out there and at least play catch or, try to do that with him. So I'm looking forward to healing and being able to get back to them and get back to being able just to hang out with my husband and my 2 children. Let's see what else. The one thing I think I've been most, the one thing I think that I've been most wanting to do about once I was diagnosed with breast cancer was being able to tell as many people that wanted to hear about my story. I know it's not the worst case scenario or the worst case of having to go through various treatments. I know it's also not like the easiest case. It's sort of like, middle of the road. I got the treatments that are pretty standard. I I had limited side effects. Everything that I had was just pretty on par with what's expected. But I wanted people to know, like, it's okay to talk about breast cancer. It's okay to decide, to get that mammogram. And that's how they found mine. As I got my very first mammogram, and boom, they said, you got to come back for more tests. And that was probably the scariest part, was the unknown, was not knowing what was happening. I had been told that I had dense breast tissue and to expect to come back. So I wasn't prepared for what ended up happening. And there's nothing like hearing that diagnosis of you have cancer. Like, that to me was pretty much the worst part, because then I knew I had to call my own mother and tell my mother that I had breast cancer. And up until that point, to me, cancer, my father passed away from cancer, and his was a very fast-acting cancer. He was diagnosed in November and was dead by February, had passed away by February. So for me and for my mother and for my sister, hearing the word cancer just meant like, oh my gosh, you're going to die. But I had to look at it differently. I had to say, you know what, I have a milder cancer than he had. I was able to get extremely great medical care, and I sought a second opinion. I didn't necessarily agree or not agree with I actually sought a third opinion. The first person diagnosed me, said you probably want to get a second opinion, as I'm only a general surgeon. So then I went to a breast surgeon, and that breast surgeon sort of, I don't know, there's just something that said to me, why not go check out somewhere else? So I was able to actually get an appointment at Sloan Kettering, and they not only went through all of the previous diagnosis that had been done, they did their own independent diagnosis. And they did a couple other tests, which actually found out that my cancer was more invasive in my breast than was originally thought. So I'm so thankful, because if I had potentially gone with my second doctor, I would have just had a lumpectomy instead of a mastectomy. So never be afraid, I guess, to ask for a second opinion. And you can still go with your first person that you went to. It's just good to see what another set of eyes can find, or maybe it's the exact same thing. And for me, especially like when it comes to radiation, a lot of my friends said, you need to go, why not go close to home? You're going to go every day for 5 weeks, every day for 5 weeks for a tiny appointment. Why not go somewhere closer to home? And I thought about it, and I thought, for me, it was more important for me to stay where all of my appointments were. I had all of my health care previously for my cancer at Sloan Kettering. And while I could have chosen a place closer to home, I just wanted to stay where I was. I said, you know what? I trust them. I have a good feeling. I met the radiation oncologist there, and I really liked her. So for me, that was the best thing, to stay where I was and to complete my treatment. And today, on my last day there, really just confirmed that that was the best choice for me. Everybody there was so excited for me. They were smiling and congratulating me and saying, we want to see you, but we don't want to see you anytime soon. Good luck with everything else. And they gave me hugs. And, I at one point jokingly had said, where's the confetti and the balloons? Like, where's that celebration feel? But for as much as I was celebrating, there were a lot of people. I came out of my appointment, and I've never seen the waiting room so full of people that are waiting to see the doctor, maybe to find out about their diagnosis, or people that are in the middle of their treatment. And here I am celebrating the end of mine. And it felt really, 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 really fantastic. So I feel very strong. I feel, I guess, empowered that now I get to be in control. I can control moving forward, in a sense where I felt like the doctor's appointments and all of the things the last 10 months have sort of been controlling what I do. Now, obviously, I still have to check in. I still have to make sure I feel good and follow myself that way. But I get to sort of get a redo, get a restart, and take care of myself first, and then my family, and then figure out what I have left over. And I look forward to figuring that out. So I hope that this wasn't too long, but thank you. Bye.